We are looking at September 11th, remembering September 11th, 19 years later. Today marks the 19th anniversary since the tragic events that forever changed New York City and the entire country. Tributes are set to take place today in Manhattan, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where President Trump is expected to attend. My next guest was mayor of New York City on September 11, 2001, and as a result of his leadership, he became known as America's mayor for his leadership and guidance during this horrible time. Joining me right now is former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. And Rudy, it's always a pleasure to see you, particularly talking to you today. How are you feeling this morning?
Well, it's a very difficult day, like it was. I mean, it's the worst day I can remember in my life, and in some ways the greatest day. We were face to face with pure evil, Islamic extremist terrorism. They kill so many perfectly innocent people who, not soldiers or intelligence agents or operatives of any kind, just regular people right about now going to work and getting a bagel or opening their computer, and boom. Their lives are gone, their families shattered forever. And they were attempting, the Islamic terrorists, to destroy the spirit of this country. They weren't just trying to kill 2,000 or 3,000 people. They were actually trying to kill about 12,000. And because of the bravery of the rescue workers, and I'm going to point out the New York City Police Department, as well as the Fire Department and the Port Authority, they saved 7,000 or 8,000 lives that probably would have been dead had it not been such an expert rescue operation. And those are the words of the 9/11 Commission, by the way. The 9/11 Commission credited them with saving every life that was possible to be saved. And that's because they gave up their lives. So please remember that, when we do all this horrible, divisive rhetoric about police officers, please remember they're the ones who run in and save you, not the people yelling and screaming about them.
It's true. And 343 firefighters and paramedics were killed from the Fire Department of New York. 23 NYPD officers were killed, and 37 Port Authority police officers were killed on that fateful day. It was a horrible day for all of us as we continue to mourn our friends and family. Do you think we've changed since then, Rudy? How have things changed?
We have. I mean, we've become much more divisive. We've lost a certain percentage of patriotism. There was I don't remember anybody taking a knee back in 2001, ever. I don't remember people burning flags. That had ended 20 years earlier. I don't remember people saying hateful things about America, how horrible we are, how horrible our founders are. We've got a whole movement, Hate America movement, going on that we come up against today. We even have two different ceremonies because the other group is not reading the names. They're playing a recording. It's a pre-recorded. To me, that's disgraceful. Pre-recorded reading of the names? Come on, these people gave up a lot for America. I mean, some of them on purpose. Stephen Stiller ran in. He was at home sleeping. He ran in to save people. Now, his children have grown up without a father. And you got to remember that. We have to remember it too, Maria, because it's not over. This isn't Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
It isn't Appomattox. Those are over, and we're friends now. These people still want to come here and kill us. And we're defunding the police department that protects the #1 Islamic terrorist target in the world, New York City. That comes from our intelligence agency. I'm sure it hasn't changed. And we defund the police department. Do you realize the signal that sends to them? They feed on weakness, Maria. They were feeding on weakness in the response that had been had to bin Laden in the past. We know that now. Can you imagine the weakness they see now with our police being humiliated, and they want to do away with our police departments? I mean, social workers are going to protect us against terrorists. We have to use this day. This isn't political. This is about the safety of the nation. We have to use this day to reinforce the notion that we're at risk. We got lots of risks. Domestic crime is growing by record numbers. But we have a risk of terrorists coming here and killing us. They still hate us. They're still being trained to hate us. The Islamic Republic of Iran is giving them hundreds of millions of dollars a year. A few years ago, it was our money they were giving them because Obama gave it to them. And they are being trained to kill us. And they're looking for the right opportunity. Remember, it took them They attacked us in '93 and in 2001. Took them 8 years to do it again, right?
It's unbelievable. I mean, we need to be grateful for these public servants that were running in the building while we were running out.
Remarkable, awesome. Who does that?
Yeah.
Who runs into the building?
Yeah.
And when they're off duty, what I said was they ran into that building and they weren't asking, "Are you black? Are you white? Are you a woman, a child? Are you gay? What's your gender?"
Yeah.
They're going to pull anybody out they can pull out. They don't ask questions like that. It's the people who attack them that are the racists, not them. They put their lives at risk and they die for any race, any religion, any gender. It's the people who think identity who are the racists in our society today. It's just flipped from the way the media does it. And these people are heroes. And today is the day to remember them, and on all the people who died, because there were hidden heroes inside that building. I know about an elderly man, 73, well, not that elderly. I know about this elderly man, and I was just told the story by the survivors. He just packed these people in elevators. The last elevator, he didn't know it was the last. They said, "Come on in, come on in." He said, "Oh, no, I'm 73. I've already lived my life. Your kids, come on, go down." That's the last words he ever uttered that we know of. But you know how many of them there were like that?
What a horrible story. It's so important
and
to
the ones in uniform
we all faced on that day. And the camaraderie
and we faced it together as Americans.
Afterwards, how we were all together. Yes, exactly.
President Bush, when he gave that great speech 3 days later.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if it would happen today. President Bush gave the speech down at Ground Zero. And then he got in the car with me and Governor Pataki and my 3 commissioners. And we went up to the Javits Center, which is right along the west side of Manhattan. And they were cheering for him. Oh, my God, it was like a political rally. "We love you, George. We love you, George." Hit him back, hit him back. And I leaned over to him. I just couldn't resist. I said, "Mr. President, I don't know if you know it, but none of these people voted for you. Not a single one. The west side of Manhattan is solidly Democratic. I think I got 2 votes and George got 3 here. And you got none." And he said, "Well, it'll eventually go back, but that's good. That's good." And I don't know if that would happen today if the president went up. I mean, no matter who the president is, the man is working to try to save us. I mean, you know, you can't sit in that office unless.
And we've got all these threats. Where does the terrorism
we've got threats we're not even recognizing.
I know we've got a threat from China. We've got threats from Iran, Russia trying to meddle in the election. But what about terrorism and where we stand there?
The threat, I think, I don't get the intelligence briefings I used to get, but every instinct in my body tells me the terrorist threat is probably bigger right now, that we're weak. The minute we show weakness and division, they feed on that. They actually believe that we're not in it for the long run, that their insane distortion of their religion means that they're headed for eternity, and that we are evil infidels, and that this horrible society of ours has to implode, and they're going to help it do it. That's what they thought they were doing on September 11th. That's why they hit our financial center, which they thought was the World Trade Center. You know, the biggest target back in those days was the stock exchange. That was the number one target on the list that we compiled with the FBI. But they actually thought, because it was called the World Trade Center, they thought it was our financial center. Of course, in those days, the stock exchange was. But they hit our financial center. They hit our military, or the Pentagon, and then they were going to hit our center of political power, the Congress. And they thought that would knock us out.
Well,
that would kill us.
I remember.
And instead,
we
came back stronger.
I was at the New York Stock Exchange, and I ran out to the corner of Wall Street and Broadway to see what was happening just a block away at the Trade Center. And as soon as I tried to go back to the inside of the exchange, it was all boarded up. So you're right. I mean, people were worried that the New York Stock Exchange was the next target. I'm looking at a picture of me interviewing you on September 11th, on September 17th, rather, the day that the exchange opened once again. And it was an incredible moment because it was on that day that we got the courage and the confidence to know that, yes, we were down, but we weren't out, and that we would mourn, but we would rise again. And you gave us that strength. Dick Grasso gave us that strength, and all the firefighters and the first responders gave us that strength.
Nobody in New York City did more to prepare for terrorism. Nobody knows 3-4 years earlier how he would come to my office, and he wanted me to put a police station there, so I put a substation there. He wanted me to close off the streets because I can't tell you how many threats we got to the World Trade to the Stock Exchange. They far outnumbered the World Trade Center. I mean, legitimate threats coming through, the federal government to us at the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and I would say it was our #1 target. And he's one of the people he's the one who took the most seriously in the private sector the threat to his institution. It's the only reason we could open. We could have opened possibly in 2 days, but he didn't want to risk some of the companies not being able to feed in, and then it would screw up the market. And President Bush wanted it open right away. And I told President Bush, Mr. President, Dick says there's a 60% chance it'll work all day, but they may have to close down if they open. He said, well, when can he safely open it? And I said, Monday. Well, then he said, okay, tell him Monday. And he did it on Monday, and you're absolutely right. It was
9/11 happened on a Tuesday. The markets never opened that day, didn't open all week, rest of the week, and then the resumption of trading, the reopen, was Monday, September 17th. And I was grateful that
that's
you
one
were
of the things
in charge, and Dick Grasso was in charge. He's going to be joining me shortly. Dick
I was
Grasso,
grateful
to relay.
Well, you tell him he's one of my great heroes. He is. He's a great guy, a great human being. And America owes much more to him than they realize.
Yes, I agree with you, Mayor.
And thank you, Maria. Your coverage your coverage of that day and the days after was magnificent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to talk with you. Condolences to you for so many that we lost. Mayor Rudy Giuliani.